This week, Jonny Robot chats about the only sports game that comes with a violence warning, NHL 16 from EA Sports. We find out some more about Gearbox Software's next big thing, Battleborn, and we catch up with PAX Australia keynote speaker Warren Spector. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week we saw Blizzard fans descend onto the Anaheim Convention Centre for the sort of annual BlizzCon celebration. And even though the weekend's biggest stories were made public before the doors even opened, from all accounts it was a pretty great show, unless you're a fan of Diablo, in which case you weren't really paid attention to. But if you like upcoming shooter Overwatch, there is plenty of news for you. The game is due out in the first half of next year, with a closed beta running right now. Blizzard has also confirmed that the formerly PC-only release is also headed to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The studio also squashed rumours of being free-to-play, but if you wanted this one on a Mac, you are out of luck. The studio has dropped all support for Apple. Mac gamers can, of course, still play World of Warcraft, with Blizzard disappointing and confusing many gamers with a placeholder release date for expansion pack Legion of on or before December 21, 2016. Ignoring the fact that technically tomorrow is on or before next September, the general feel is that we'll get the game later rather than sooner. There is also a new expansion for Hearthstone, new heroes, a battleground and arena mode for Heroes of the Storm, and new mission packs headed to StarCraft 2, which is out now and with brand new local servers in Australia. But for once, one of the biggest draw cards for the event wasn't actually a game. Here is a taste of the very first trailer for Warcraft: The Beginning in cinemas June 10 next year.
Can we trust him?
They're beasts. They should all be destroyed.
Are you sure about that? We'll protect the kingdom, you and I.
You'd side with the humans against your own kind.
This is suicide. We have no choice. We should attack with full force.
Whatever you plan to do, do it now!
In other news, Jonny's interview with Gearbox is coming up a little later in the show, but Battleborn has been in the headlines again, with the upcoming multiplayer shooter being pushed back 3 months to May 3, 2016. It's not a killer delay, particularly for a game we haven't heard much from recently, so here's hoping the devs use their time wisely. We also hadn't heard much from Epic Games recently, but looks like that could be about to change with the announcement of Paragon, a new class-based shooter due out next year. We still know next to nothing about the game, but the early glimpses we've had so far look pretty neat. A few other bits and pieces. No Man's Sky won't be in our hands for a while yet, with developer Hello Games confirming the Space Explorer's release date is an agonisingly distant June 2016. Rather than adapting an earlier work, Supermassive is working on a completely standalone game for PlayStation VR called Until Dawn: Rush of Blood. It focuses on one of the characters you met in Until Dawn and will seem quite familiar, but is totally separate and can be played without touching the original. Need for Speed developer Ghost Games has announced there are no plans to charge for additional content, with new free DLC due out in the coming weeks and months. In case you don't believe EA taking this very different approach, take a look for yourself. The game does not have a built-in store to enable microtransactions. Something that did see a lot of money changing hands was the surprise business deal between Activision Blizzard and King Entertainment. To put it simply, the publisher that owns World of Warcraft and Call of Duty now also owns Candy Crush, and it paid nearly $6 billion for the developer. To put that into context, Disney bought Lucasfilm, that is, the entire Star Wars universe, in 2012 for a mere $4 billion. Casual games are obviously still big business. And while we're on the topic of Activision, tying in with this week's launch of Call of Duty Black Ops 3, an Australian brewery has launched a tie-in beer. Call of Duty Black Hops 3 Midnight Pale Ale has been created by Black Hops Brewing on the Gold Coast and is a limited run only available to Aussies. Described as a light and refreshing traditional American-style pale ale, the beer has a unique black colour thanks to the special type of midnight wheat used in the brewing process. The news follows on from the Fallout beer announced for UK drinkers, a Pilsner co-production between Bethesda and European brewer Carlsberg. Moving on, and to celebrate N7 Day, that is November 7th, BioWare has released a live-action teaser for Mass Effect Andromeda featuring real-world clips from NASA and a voiceover by the one and only Jennifer Hale, that is FemShep from the original trilogy. Bear in mind that BioWare has sworn Shepard is not returning in the new game, which is set long after the originals, so her inclusion in this trailer is intriguing indeed.
We will say goodbye, and you will look back one last time. And know that wherever you go, we will be with you. This is Commander Shepard, signing off.
And finally this week, brand new movie news. The Witcher is coming to the big screen with Oscar-nominated director and animator Thomas Baginski at the helm. It's produced by the team behind The Mummy, and Tanya St. John is on board as writer, fresh from working on NBC's Grimm. The live-action film is based on Andrzej Sapkowski's short stories The Witcher and The Lesser Evil, rather than the games from CD Projekt Red, but if you are a fan of the RPGs, it's worth keeping an eye on this one. It's where Geralt got his start, and the nickname the Butcher of Blaviken, and should give a nice backstory for Western audiences who may not have read the classic Polish books. This won't be the only time Geralt takes to the big screen. Instead, the film is anticipated to be the first in a series of features planned for both TV and cinema. For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
Is all about adjustments.
Team play needs to be re-examined.
Their team defense has not been very good, and they're not generating any offense.
Gentlemen, the way we're playing out there, that isn't going to cut it. Not in this league. Not in any league. All that matters is what we do with these next 20 minutes. So ask yourself, what makes a team great?
I'm Johnny for Player Attack here at E3, and we're hanging out with EA Sports covering NHL. Unfortunately, you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, so this will be pretty hard for me. But what is brand new this year?
So this year in NHL, we focused on working with our fans to improve the game, and as well as just bring back features and breadth and depth that we wanted to have in NHL 15 and bring it back to 16. So we've really worked on, for player mechanics, we focused on brand new passing mechanics so that you can have a way to keep the flow of the game going by having passes received in action. So instead of before, our passes used to be a little bit stop and go, you'd receive a pass, your player would slow down. Now it actually will pick it up with all full momentum. So the flow of the game is much more quick paced without the actual speed of the players changing. So it feels a lot more smooth when you're playing the game. We have new facing, so we actually worked a lot on the facing of how the players are going to face the action, thus improving defense and offense. We have new manual control goalies. That allows you to play in the brand new EA Sports Hockey League that we're bringing back this year, so that you have control with all the different players that you have on the team, and each guy will have full control of their players. So the new goalie system is actually quite finite. We had Eddie Lack from the Vancouver Canucks come and do motion capture, and he actually helped us quite a bit with how a goalie moves around that crease and brings that out to the fans when they're playing the game.
As a goalie, hearing Eddie Lack came on board for this is awesome. So has the actual goalie, say in Be a Pro mode, has that been overhauled as well?
So the manual goalie controls will work in EA Sports Hockey League as well as Be a Pro. So you're actually going to feel that in Be a Pro. You actually have that finite control of a goalie moving those 6 inches over, 6 inches to the right and left. Before in our game, the goalie was a little more floaty. He had the right motion, but not necessarily where he was going. Eddie kind of showed us how a goalie moves from point to point. There's very quick ones and then very longer strides as he goes across when it's a cross-ice pass. So you're going to get that sensation that when you're making that cross-ice save, you're actually doing it with desperation, and when you're standing in the right spot, it's actually very controlled. So that's what we wanted to focus on. I mean, NHL goalies don't move very much unless they actually have to. You can actually play goal like that now.
One of the things that was possibly missing last year was a bit more of a breadth of game modes. Can we expect a really deep Be a Pro mode this year, as well as, say, Be a GM?
So for Be a Pro, we actually have a brand new player progression system. it actually ties into our Visual on Ice trainer. So our Visual on Ice trainer is basically an overlay system that will actually teach a user adaptively what to do to play the game. So you'll learn how to right triggers pass, and once you get good at that, it will remove that from the schematics and go, hey, the next step is a saucer pass, and it teaches you each layer of the game as you go. And with that, we think it'll improve everyone's gameplay, not only the person picking it up for the first time, but even the experienced guys who maybe didn't do a few things actually will get, after a little while, they'll start to see these new aspects of the game that they can try. We have a new system that shows you where on the goalie or on the goal, you're actually going to see where the targeting is, where a goalie would cover 100% and where there's opportunities for you to shoot. So if someone's intimidated by the game because of its speed, this actually guides you a little bit in saying, hey, if you're coming down the right wing and you want to shoot on a goalie, you're probably going to go far side or very close to his shoulder on his short side. And in that way, the user is starting to learn about hockey as well. So we think that's a big thing to help everyone learn. But also in Be A Pro, we use the same mechanism that everything you do on the ice is actually how your player grows. So if you poke check, you'll get 15 experience in poke checking. And your skill in that one aspect will start to grow. So if you're going from 75 rating to 76, it might take 2,000 experience. And as you play the games, those ratings will grow. And then if you get to 76, it's a little more to get to 77. Just like it is to master anything, it gets harder at the very end because you're trying to get the finite details of how it works. So we find that is allowing the user who wants to be physical, he can go out and be physical and grow only in the physical skills, but his other parts of his game will be lacking. So to become a truly great player, you actually have to work on your complete game. So that feels like more of an interaction of the user. Every game is important. Everything they do on the ice is important.
Graphical fidelity is insanely good this year. Facial motion capture looks like it's in as well. So what big stars are going to see with all their face going on?
So we did scan a lot of NHLers. We would love to scan more, so we keep working on that aspect with our partners at the NHL and the NHLPA. But we have, I would say, about 150, 200 heads done. And then from there, we're going to continue adding more. This year with playoff beards and just the beard system that we've added, it actually brings a lot of those faces to life because you see the player as he is currently or as you're used to seeing him. And especially with the playoffs just ending, there are players that now have played 3 weeks and not shaved, so you actually know that, hey, he's got quite a full beard or he's a little scratchy, and we have tons of different ability to edit players in that area, as well as we've added a ton of customization for all players.
So we can expect Sidney Crosby's confused little mustache.
Yes, there is the Sidney Crosby style where it doesn't fully grow in, but you can tell he's a man. So that's what, you know, that kind of thing. Playing 4 weeks of playoff hockey, it's there, just not where you would think. Unlike Brent Burns, which is a full wild man beard, just after 4 weeks of playing in the playoffs, it looks like he could go out and cut down 12 trees in a row. So it's that kind of aspect that every player will have that uniqueness to his face, and it brings out a lot to the game.
What is Battleborn?
Battleborn is a hero shooter from Gearbox Software. It's a game with a deep story you can play by yourself or with friends. You're coming to the last star in the universe. All the other stars are blinking out. And you want to keep your species alive and earn the right to keep propagating. So you band together with friends and you go kick some butt so you can live around this last star. We have, besides the campaign, besides the story, we also have 3 competitive modes, and we have 25 characters for you to choose from and play in.
So So there's a lot to unpack here. We'll start with what's most striking, the characters. What have we got going on?
Well, we've got 25 characters, really diverse. They're all over the place, which is awesome. We love that. So coming from something like Borderlands, where we had, a few characters to start with, we're going to have 25 now. So that means that you have crazy things like characters like Miko, who's a mushroom character. You have characters like Montana, with giant, huge, big sort of machine gun, chain gun kind of thing. You have Oscar Mike, just diverse characters all over the board.
Can we expect the same kind of zaniness that we got from Borderlands?
I think you'll find that it's a little mix. It's the last star in the universe. That's a pretty heavy story. While at the same time, you've got this levity, these characters kind of talking back and forth. So we like to mix it up a bit. We like to have, these sort of dramatic moments, but also have these sort of comedic moments to kind of break the tension. And it's just fun, pure fun for the most part.
And so it's basically based around multiplayer. And you said it was single player as well.
Well, what we learned with Borderlands and with the last mini games that we've made is people really like a multiplayer experience. Sometimes they want to be able to do it alone, and in Battleborn you'll be able to solo the campaign if you want to do that. But it's true that this is something where we really want to bring people together to experience it. It's a great experience with other people.
And you said there's competitive game modes as well.
Right, so there are 3 competitive modes, right? So we have Incursion, which is kind of all-out Team DM attack on the other player's base. You've got Meltdown, which is an escort kind of mission where it's a score-based and you're escorting the minions that you have, these robots, to be able to recycle them for resources. And we also have Devastation, which is kind of a capture and hold and really concentrating combat into different spots around the map. It's one of the more strategic modes that you're going to play.
This is a pretty nuanced game then, by the sounds of it.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of choice. Player choice is a big thing here. The meta game is very deep, multi-tiered on a per match and per story basis, per character, and across everything that you do. What we have is called a command rank, and that factors in all the things that you would do in the game. And so player choice and being able to play it the way that you want to, it is kind of nuanced in that way.
And player choice, I'm expecting lots of customization as well?
Well, so what we want you to do is experience all these different characters that we're providing. So from a player choice point of view, there are a lot of different ways that you can spec out your loadout for those characters, and there are a lot of choices that you make in each session. As I said, we have this helix structure, and so as you level up in a match or in a story, you're making choices about how you want to level up that character. And you can also, in the metagame, spend a lot of time deciding how you want to have a loadout, which gives you boosts and other capabilities, augments what you have. So there's a lot for you to do in terms of how you approach your gameplay.
Now let's get to something slightly more personal. Who is your favorite character? Because I'm seeing this robot metal butler, and I'm all for him already, so...
Oh yeah, Marquis is awesome. I love him. He was Phoebe's butler, and then something happened where now he's gone more all out assault oriented. But for me right now, I'm really enjoying playing Boulder. He is our dwarf character. He has this rune forged axe, and what I really like about him, and I'm not typically a melee oriented player, but I really like the fact that I can pull up his shield when I'm playing with friends. I can go right into the action as they're doing, say, ranged, or if they're playing support roles, I can go right in the middle of the action, and I can put out a huge attack in the middle. I can do a lot of crowd control with him. He's a lot of fun for me to play as.
I love Oscar Mike. I know he's kind of simple and like he's your regular running gun kind of character, but I think I like that part of it. When it comes to the competitive side, I feel really comfortable with that. He can do a lot of different things, from turning invisible, obviously using grenade launchers, all these kind of cool things. But then, when it comes to the single player, then you have like a completely different feel. And that's something where I might pick a character like Thorn, where I'm going to use the bow. I'm not as good in multiplayer with that character, but I'm much better playing with her in single player.
And you've been really stressing that multiplayer aspect here. How big is tactics and teamwork in this?
Oh, huge, huge. This is a game that really encourages you to talk to each other as players, or at least understand what kind of role that you want to play. Not all the modes are the same that way. As I said, our Devastation mode is the one that is really gonna, test your ability to strategize as a team and as individuals. But it's one where teamwork is very important. With that said, you can play the story mode solo, but when you get together with others and you're playing a competitive game, you want to bring your A game.
in this little world, people know who I am, but I could go out on the street and just scream, "I'm the guy who created J.C. Denton," and no one would know or care.
For people who somehow don't know who you are and who might not recognise the name J.C. Denton, can you give us a really quick recap of your storied history across the years?
Well, I've been making video games for about 26 years now, and started in tabletop games actually 32 years ago. So I've worked on a lot of games. I guess I'm probably best known for Deus Ex, which came out 15 years ago this year, and more recently the Disney Epic Mickey games that I did when I was working for Disney. But the key is all of my games are about empowering players to tell their own stories and choice and consequence and all of that. And so I've kind of got a little niche that's mine, and people seem to like it.
But at the moment you're not currently making games, is that right? You're teaching.
After 30 years, I decided it was time for a different challenge, so I'm taking a hiatus and created a game development program at the University of Texas in my hometown of Austin, Texas. And I have 20 students. We're in our second year, and we're teaching them the ins and outs of creative and business leadership, which is something the game industry teaches very, very badly.
So hopefully this will be the next generation of Warren Spectors coming through.
Yeah, I always tell my students, your job is to destroy me. Go out and do things that I can't even imagine and make people forget I ever existed. So let's hope one or two of them at least actually go and accomplish that.
Let's hope none of them take the Kill Your Darlings story too seriously.
Yes, literal would be bad. You know, in fact, I'm going to have to clarify that for them, that I don't mean that literally. Okay, thanks for the tip.
Have you had a chance to check out some of the Australian-made indie games on the show floor this weekend? I
have, actually. There are a lot of interesting games over there. You know, there's some VR stuff, which is always intriguing, and the game that actually intrigued me the most, I wish I could remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there's a game there that combines hardware, you know, do-it-yourself, make-it-yourself hardware and software, which I find pretty intriguing. I'm not sure how commercial that is, but certainly if you're looking for the one new thing, build this piece of hardware yourself and our software will plug into it is pretty cool.
Meanwhile, you did say hiatus, which does imply that there may be a return to game development in the future. Is there anything that you can talk about?
Well, there's nothing concrete. I'm definitely getting the itch to make something again, so we'll see what happens. I'm not sure I've reached my last stop. So you may see something from me sometime soon. Actually, being here and hearing everybody so enthusiastic about the kinds of games I make has kind of fired me up. So maybe we'll get back to doing something soon.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, it's an adventure game spectacular with our review of Rise of the Tomb Raider and a chat with Naughty Dog about Uncharted 4. In the meantime, you can catch us at the new look playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.